Alright, hi, this is Kim Newcomer again with Ramona Star Sewing. This is the second installment of our group quilting project. Last time you sewed together the squares. I showed you how to sew together the squares and make a strip. And then on your own you were going to sew all the rest of your strips. You either had 10 or 11. Today let's talk about how to put them together. First thing is, last time I had you press all the seams a particular direction. On the even rows, press it one direction. On the odd rows, press it the other. To reduce the bulk in the seams, we press one row one direction and we press the next row the other direction. So you can see on this one, if I line them up, this one all the seams are pressed this direction, and on this one all the seams are pressed that. When we put them together then, the bulk is a little distributed and it's not so bulky. So let's go ahead and stack these on top of each other and pin them. So I'm going to take row 1, I'm going to stack it on top of row 2, and then I'm going to take pins and pin together right at the seams, one to the other. So line up the seam and pin them together. And you can check where your pin is to see if it worked. And I'll just go along here, pin them together. This will show you how accurate your sewing of your seams is. And don't fret. If they don't line up perfectly, it's quite alright. This is a group project and it's supposed to be for fun. So don't worry about it. If they're really off, just sew these two together and don't agonize, don't seam rip them apart and try to put them back together. Just do what you can do. We'll figure out how to patch it all together. So I'm just continuing down the row, just kind of pulling one and pushing the other. That one's a little off, so I'm going to stretch that one a little bit more. It's still off, but I'm just going to move on. Pretty good. Okay, I've got them all pinned, and now I'm going to sew them together. You're going to use the same 1/4 inch seam now when you're sewing these two rows together. The reason that we need to have very accurate 1/4 inch seams is so that these corners line up when we sew them together. So that's just something to keep in mind as you're doing your seams on the back. Try to keep all these seams a 1/4 inch, and that will make the squares line up really nicely. Drop that pressure foot, drop the needle, make sure you're in the right space, and begin to sew. Remove your pins before you get to them. Make sure to put them into your pin cushion. The back stitching, actually you don't need to do the back stitching at the end. Trim off your extra threads. And then this is the beginning. This is the upper left-hand corner. So now you've got your two rows together. And we're going to continue to do that. This was rows 1 and 2. You're going to do 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, 9 and 10. I actually have 11, so 11 is just going to sit there. But go ahead and do all your 2s together, and then we'll rejoin. Now you've got your 2 that you sewed together. There's row 1 and 2. And here's row 3 and 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then I have row 11. You're going to take 1 and 2, and you're going to sew them to 3 and 4. So open up 1 and 2, open up 3 and 4, lay them out like they were going to be placed together. Take 1 and 2, place it on top of 3 and 4. Again, pin it and sew it. Do the same thing, 5 and 6. 7 and 8, and then 9 and 10, I'm going to sew on 11. Some of you won't have 11, you'll just have row 9. And then we'll reconvene after I've sewn these together and show how to put the final pieces together. You've got rows 1 through 4 sewed together, 5 through 8, and 9, 10, or 9, 10, and 11 together. Take the row 5 through 8 and place it on top of your row 1 through 4. Just remember which one's which. Again, you're going to pin that, sew it. When you're done with that, open this one up. So now you have 8 rows. And then fold 9, 10, or 9, 10, 11 on top of that. Stitch that, pin it, stitch it, and then you'll have your whole quarter put together. And this is a quarter of the quilt. Iron all the seams so that they're flat, and it doesn't really matter which way you fold them. Just do your best if you want to go one direction. We can always adjust it when we're putting the whole quilt together. So when I'm done sewing it together and pressed, then I'll come back one more time and show you what it looks like all together. I have sewn sections 1 through 4, 5 through 8, and 9 through 10 together. So you can see this is 1/4 of our group quilt all put together, and it's pressed. The seams are pressed on the back all one direction, and we're ready to join up each of these quarters with the other quarters.